Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. Today I have a fun Christmas version of my cookie tote for you. This cookie tote is sized to fit one of these 2-packs of Pepperidge Farm Milano cookies. I got them on Amazon in a 20 pack, so 20 of these little 2-packs in a bucket. And I am loving this project, and I'm loving the buckets that these cookies came in. Great for organization. I did a version of this project with Painted Harvest that was a sunflower, a Thanksgiving version, maybe for your Thanksgiving table. And I thought I'd show you how to take the same materials, apply some different designer series paper, and come up with a little Christmas version here. All right, so let me start with the Stampin' Up! Supplies that you're gonna need to make this. I've got Stampin' Up! Painted Harvest. I had just mentioned this. It's a beautiful sunflower set, and we're gonna use it to make our Christmas wreath. I also grabbed my Hang Your Stockings from Stampin' Up! Stamp set for these little berries for my wreath. I liked the size and scale of these. And then my bow for the wreath comes from the mini treat bag Thinlits dies. And I just die cut that little bow from there. You'll also need some basic shapes. I've got the Stitch Shapes framelits. You're going to use the second largest circle. I have my layering circles framelits. You're going to use the coordinating scallop that goes with that stitched circle. Here's my little bow die from the mini treat bags. And then you're going to use your layering ovals, that smallest little oval, to make the handles for this tote. My Stampin' Pads for this project, this version, are Garden Green, Real Red, and Wild Wasabi. And then I've also got the very last bit of my quilted Christmas 1/4-inch ribbon for this last little treat. My consumable materials are a piece of Real Red cardstock, and this is 11 by 4 3/4. I have 2 pieces of Christmas Quilt Designer Series paper, Quilted Christmas Designer Series paper. This is 3 3/8 by 2, and then I have 2 pieces of coordinating designer series paper. I actually just used the back in this case. These are 1 1/2 by 2. I've got the Garden Green circle, the Whisper White circle, and the Real Red bow already die cut for me. And we're going to score up and cut this paper according to the template here. There is a printable project sheet with all the measurements, the cutting and scoring guide, full color photo, Stampin' Up! Supply list, everything that you need to recreate this project. You can buzz over to KitchenTableStamper.com and download that for free. All right, let's start and get stamping. I want to show you how we're going to turn that beautiful little sunflower into this gorgeous wreath. Okay, I've set up my ink pads here, and I like to go light to dark when I'm stamping in similar colors. So I've got my Wild Wasabi and my Garden Green, and then Real Red ink pad. And before we get started, I wanted to show you this, and I'll take a picture of it. I was playing around with my sunflower and looking at the different combinations I could get of greens and blues for wreaths. And so here we have Pool Party and Garden Green, and I love this. It gives you kind of a spruce color. It's very frosty. It looked beautiful with snowflakes. This is the combination I decided on, the Wild Wasabi and Garden Green, to make a very kind of traditional red and green Christmas wreath. Then we tried some Lemon Lime Twist and Garden Green, and I think that this combination is a really nice fall combination. It looked good with like orange berries and like bittersweet, maybe a little pumpkin. This is a good fall combination to make a fall wreath. And then we also did Lemon Lime Twist and Wild Wasabi, which gives us a very spring green. It'd be adorable with little Easter eggs in it. This is the perfect wreath for spring. All right, so let's get started with our wreath here. We've got the sunflower image. We're not going to stamp the center, we're just stamping the petals, and we want this more solid petal image, and we're going to ink that up in our lighter color, our Wild Wasabi, and we'll stamp centered on the stitched circle. and allow the ink some time to transfer. That way you get the most detail from these watercolor images. Now you can see it's not perfect. It's darker and lighter, and that's purposeful to get that watercolor look. When you layer up the second image with more details, you'll start to see the petals emerge. So we're going to ink up the more detailed petals with the garden green. And I like to match up this little bump on the inside. That's kind of my identifying characteristic. So it's here on the paper and it's here on the stamp, and I'm just going to look through the top of the stamp and line those up. And it does not have to be perfect. Allowing the ink to transfer for just a second is really important in this step, because this is where we're getting all that detail that makes it look leafy. And there's our beautiful green wreath. Now let's add some berries. I've got real red, and I found that a pleasing composition for the berries, after practicing a little bit and not being exactly thrilled with the results, I've got the berries and I'm stamping them in toward the inner edge of the ring, and I'm stamping them at 12, and then maybe at like 4 o'clock, and then I'm going to stamp them over here at, I don't know, maybe 7, and all along that inner edge of the ring. Then I'm going to turn my stamp and I'm going to move out into the leaves, and I'm going to stamp here at about 2, and then I'm going to stamp out here along the outer edge at 6, and then I'm going to stamp out here on the outer edge at, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock, and then you get a pleasing balanced arrangement of berries. So think of it like a clock face. All right, let me move away the ink pads and the Stampin' Pierce mat, and we'll put together our box. Okay, I'm bringing in my Simply Scored scoring tool, and I'm going to pop my little piece of real red in portrait ways. We want the 4 3/4 inch side across the top. Now, we're going to score this twice on this direction at 1 1/4, and then again at 3 1/2. And there will be a diagram for this that you can download on the blog. Now, we're going to score this next score at 3 5/8, but we're only going to go down to the intersecting score here. Now, this is something that my mom taught me that I thought was kind of cool. She was making some of these for me for the craft fair, and I think this is an even easier way to do these scores that only go part way. So the next one is at 7 3/8, and we're only going to go to the intersecting score. Now we're going to turn around our paper 180 degrees, and we're going to score in those same places. 3 5/8 just down to the line, and 7 3/8 just down to the line. Brilliant woman, isn't she? You don't have to pick up the score where you left off. You just turn. All right, then 4 7/8 is our next score, and we're going to go all the way across the paper, and then 6 1/8. Pretty good, huh? Now your scoring's done. Let's get a bone folder and some scissors. All right, I've got my bone folder, and we're going to work all of the score lines except for these partial ones that we put in that only go to that first intersecting score. So we'll work all of these and get nice crisp edges. Okay, and with our paper snips, we're going to cut along those partial score lines, and then we'll cut out this entire panel in all 4 corners. Now you can do this with your paper trimmer if you're more comfortable that way. I get pretty good straight lines with scissors, so I'm going to just cut them out with snips. Okay, I've cut out all 4 corners. Now we're just going to cut these score lines out right here. And I just cut the slightest little V and pull out the actual piece of paper that's scored there. It makes our corners a little less bulky. We'll do that on both sides. Okay, so I've got some tear-in tape here. This is the outside of our box, so we want that down, and we're just going to fold these and add tear-in tape in 2 spots to all 4 tabs. Okay, I've got my tear-in tape. Now let's turn over the box, open it up, and let's add our designer series paper. Let me get the sample in here so you can see what we're doing, and I'll get a snail adhesive. Now we're going to cut these little handles out, so it's very important that you get the snail adhesive all the way across the top edge here so that it stays secure when we die cut it. And then just around the other 4 sides. Now we'll center right to left and leave about a same margin across the top, and then add our coordinating pattern to the bottom. Now we get to rinse and repeat. Okay, designer series paper is all applied. Let's get the big shot and add some handles before we fold up the box. Okay, I've got my box here and I'm going to actually fold it together and line up the top and corners. And then I'm going to place the oval where I want my handles to cut. Got a little bit of low tack tape there. I'm just tacking that oval down. And we're gonna put it in the big shot so that the box hangs out the back end of the machine. I'll show you as I'm rolling it into the picture here what we've got going on. Okay, see how the box is all flat at the bottom? We're only going to roll until that die goes into the machine and cuts. So there, now we'll take out our project, open up, and pop the first handle out. Now we've popped out the first handle and we've made an impression where the other side should go. That way our handles line up perfectly when we close our box. So we're going to put the die in that impression and we're going to run through the machine again. And there we have our second handle. And it's going to line up perfectly with the other side of the box. I'm back and we've got our box all ready to put together. I'm going to peel all these adhesive liners and then we'll put the box together. Okay, the adhesive is all exposed, and what we'll do now is fold the tab into the side of the box and adhere. Then we'll do the same on the other side. That's the front side of our box. Now we can tuck this tab in and adhere to the side of the box. And finally, our last little tab. And there it is. There's our little cookie tote. Let's put the treat in. And we'll secure it with my last bit of Christmas quilt ribbon. Quilted Christmas ribbon, that's what this one's called. I just love this ribbon. I'm gonna tie a pretty bow. And we'll trim the ends. Now let's get back to our wreath. I've got my snail adhesive. Let's put some on the back of the Whisper white panel and mount that on the garden green. Then with some multi-purpose liquid glue, we'll add our little bow, pop out the centers of the loops. And I just hold one of the tails and scribble a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue. A little bit goes a very long way on bits this small. Just spread it around. Where do I want my bow? I think right here. How cute is that? Sunflower becomes a wreath and the Painted Harvest stamp set becomes even more useful now. What we're going to do is we're going to add 2 little dimensionals to our box. Our wreath panel overlaps the side of our box, so if we add the dimensionals to the box itself, we know that we won't have any adhesive hanging off the sides of the box. So we'll adhere our wreath to cover the seam between our two designer series papers. And there it is. There's our cute little Christmas wreath cookie tote. Okay, if you've got any questions about this project, if there's anything that I can do to help you stay crafty, email me, Marisa@kitchentablestamper.com. Thanks for watching.